FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is 9/10/2020. Well, it's election season, otherwise known as silly season, and perhaps no other election has been as silly as this one that we're seeing now. We have a stealth candidate, and then we have a candidate who is constantly in your face. So you take your pick. Well, it all comes down to personality, and we'll get to that shortly. First, please write us with your opinions. Who's going to win the election? KL@kerrylutz.com. Also, don't forget, we're giving away a half ounce of gold. Make sure you go enter. You can enter quite easily. You just have to guess the price of gold, what it'll be on September 25th, 2020 at high noon. And just go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com/contest. Again, financialsurvivalnetwork.com/contest. Well, getting back to personality, the person you're about to hear from has invented a personality test for Trump and Biden. Obviously, they're not going to take it themselves, so that has to be administered by a third party. Perhaps the author will be that person. I'm talking about Merrick Rosenberg, and the name of the book is Personality Wins: Who Will Take the White House and How We Know. Merrick, it's great to have you on the show. So what of it here? Personality, I assume it's not necessarily Miss Sunshine that wins. We have some other measure of personality here.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. And I'll walk you through. I'll give you a sense of the personalities, and I'll show you how they win in presidential elections. So if you think about personality, it's always been so complicated. There's so many assessments, and they're using all these letters, and nobody remembers that stuff. So I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to use 4 birds to bring the personality styles to life. So if you thought of someone who's an eagle, has the personality traits of an eagle, what comes to mind for you? Like, what do you think of?
An eagle, a person, someone aggressive, and someone who is willing to fight for every last scrap of food.
There you go. So, yeah, if you think of someone who's an eagle, they're confident, they're take charge. As you said, they're assertive. They could be aggressive. They're direct. They call it like it is. How about somebody who's a parrot? Someone has that energy of that bright, colorful parrot. What comes to mind for you?
What comes to mind, they're in a cage generally. They're probably not very clean. I always think of parrots as being, and they don't really have original thoughts. They just say, repeat back what's said to them by their handlers, right?
That's true. Well, as a pet parrot, that's definitely true. But you know what it is? They're so talkative. They tell stories all the time. Like if you're thinking about a person, they're just optimistic, and they're picture parrots. They're energetic, they're fun, they're social. They've got lots of energy. Somebody like, you obviously can guess, like Trump's obviously is the eagle. Someone like a Reagan or Bill Clinton are good examples of the parrot personality. Just a lot of charisma, a lot of energy. How about if a person had the traits of a dove, what do you think they would be like?
Passive, I think of passivity, of calm, mild-mannered, consensus builder. Yeah,
you got it. Picture like a Jimmy Carter is that style. In this election, we watched Pete Buttigieg, who's very dove-like. They're soft-spoken. They're all about harmony and peace. And finally, someone's an owl. Picture that trait of the wise owl. They don't necessarily have to be intelligent. Anybody can be intelligent. Yeah. But what comes to mind when you think of an owl?
Well, knowing what I know, they're predatory, and they only come out at night. They're nocturnal, and I think they like potato chips.
There you go. Every owl that's ever drawn is pictured as wise. That is definitely true. And look, they are behind the scenes. We think of them as in that nocturnal ideas that they're like kind of doing stuff behind the scenes. You don't even notice it, but they're really logical. They're analytical. They're detail oriented. Everything they have to do, if they do it, it has to be right. And so when I was looking at these 4 styles, the eagle, parrot, dove, and owl, I noticed a pattern. And the pattern in presidential elections was that eagles and parrots have a bigger personality. They're talkative, they're charismatic, they're confident. And I wondered, would eagles and parrots beat the doves and the owls? Because they're just much more reserved. They're behind the scenes, they're calm, they're into data, they're into relationships. And so I started working back in time, 22 straight elections. You go all the way back to 1932, eagles and parrots always beat doves and owls. In fact, the only time a dove or an owl wins is if they're going against another dove or an owl. It's like, take somebody like I mentioned, Jimmy Carter. He's clearly the dove style. Well, he goes against Ford, who also got that dove energy. Exactly. All right, a dove is winning that one. But then you put Carter against Reagan, who's got the charisma and the smile and that kind of electric energy, and it's just game over. That charisma is going to win. George H.W. Bush, same thing. He's the owl. Okay, he wins going against Dukakis. He was another owl. But all of a sudden, here comes Bill Clinton. He's got energy. He's on the Arsenio Hall show playing Heartbreak Hotel and on his saxophone with his Wayfarer sunglasses. And that charisma wins. And that's what happened over and over again. That charisma, that energy, that big personality beats the more reserved styles. And it's happened 22 times in a row.
That's so logical because pretty much to get to the White House, well, I remember a book I once read, and I can't remember the name of the book. It said there are 4 types of politicians: those who want power and can handle it, those who want power and can't handle it, those who don't want power and can handle it, and those who don't want power and can't handle it. And when you look, these eagles generally are much more able to handle power than perhaps the doves. I would go back to Eisenhower. I would say he's probably an owl, right? And
yeah, he had a lot of owl with some dove in there too. Both of those were very strong for him.
Yeah, and warrior, but not an eagle, not an outspoken, charismatic character, and yet he was a very effective president. And the proof of it was the guy worked all the time, but he was perceived as the 9-to-5 president. So you kind of combine those two theories together, and I think you can come up with something there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see, you go back in time and you look at various presidents and you can see how, yes, they worked hard, but what we ultimately look at is, do we like them? What's their energy like? Sometimes, if you go back before 1932, what's really fascinating is prior to that time where, of course, radio comes in and now we can finally hear the people on the radio, we can hear the candidates to see them on TV. Prior to 1932, all the presidents overwhelmingly were owls and doves. There were a few parrots and eagles, but overwhelmingly, we saw the people who were more thoughtful, more logical, because the only place they saw them was in the news, in the written media. But today, when we see people on TV, we hear them on sound bites, we watch them on YouTube, you see tweets. Basically, it's like, hey, you don't need to provide a lot of detail. You just got to tell them what you're going to do, have some energy, and you're good to go. That wouldn't have worked back in the early 1900s.
So what is Biden then? Is he a dove?
Yeah, Biden is fascinating because he's definitely putting out dove energy right now. I mean, they've doubled down on his empathy. The whole convention was based on his empathy. But if you look at his style historically, he's always been the parrot. He has that big smile. He has a big laugh. And his problem is that he has a lot of verbal gaffs because that's what parrots do. They speak before they think. And then he's like, oh, no, did I say that out loud? Now I gotta walk it back. And so he's always been the parrot, but they really are positioning him as a dove in this election.
Wow. And, just like a leopard, you can't change your spots, can you?
Well, I think the dove has always been a part of him. I think that piece of it, especially just everything that's happened in his life, losing his wife and children, and just I think he is a very empathetic guy. But I think the parrot's been a much bigger part of his personality. But I think what they're trying to do now is say, hey, dial up the empathy because we've got a president who doesn't necessarily convey a lot of empathy, and we need to contrast that. He's just more big energy, go out there, be direct. If you don't like it, it doesn't matter. And that's what eagles think. Trump's personality is what got him there. It's the people who love him, not necessarily his policies, but it's really about him.
So going back to the concept of charisma, It's the kind of thing that you kind of know it when you see it. The person just takes over a room, right? Obama had that, didn't he?
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Lumina Gold, ticker symbol LUM on the Toronto Venture and LMGDF on the OTC, is yet another of legendary mining investor Ross Beaty's Lumina Group. It's advancing the largest primary gold deposit in Ecuador. The resource is estimated to contain 16.7 million ounces of gold and 2.2 billion pounds of copper. At just $7 US per ounce gold equivalent, it trades at an incredible 13% of its net present value. More good news is on the way with an updated PEA study expected in Q2 of 2020. It has unparalleled infrastructure. There's grid power to camp with plentiful, inexpensive hydropower available. It's close to 2 ports and is just 8 kilometers from a paved highway. Water is plentiful. It's at low elevation, and the closest community, which is very supportive of Lumina's effort, is just a 7-kilometer ride. With all this going for it, it's likely to follow the typical Ross Beaty formula, which means big returns to shareholders. Find out more and sign up for notifications at luminagold.com. That's Lumina, Lumina gold.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of presidents, and they all have that same parrot eagle style. Someone like Reagan had it. Obama has it. You see Clinton had it. JFK had it. They have that energy about them that they, exactly right, they walk into the room and they say their energy fills the space. And that's the kind of energy that gets people elected in today's world.
Yeah. FDR had it. We can go back in history. Teddy Roosevelt had it. Many of our leaders did.
2 more examples of they're the eagle parrot combo. That's exactly right. Eagle parrot, parrot eagle. That's exactly their personality. They had big personalities. They were risk takers. They were daring. They were bold. And people were drawn to it because they saw it. They could feel it. They could see that energy, and they heard it. And it wins.
And I think arguably Trump has got it too, although a different flavor of it, if you will. But he was a media star, had the best, highest rated TV show on the networks for many years, and refined those interesting communication skills, because I don't think you could be charismatic without being I don't want to call it a natural communicator, but a very effective communicator.
Yeah, and he clearly has the energy. You watch him at a rally, he creates energy. And you watch the difference between, you go back in election, you watch the difference between the eagle, Trump, versus Hillary, who was much more of an owl. And she just didn't create that excited energy and that passion the way that he did. And I kept saying it that whole election. I'm like, look, I see the polls. I hear what you're saying, but I'm telling you, an owl has not beaten an eagle since 1928. So I'm telling you, there's something playing out here, and that's exactly what happened. That big energy won the day.
And that was Herbert Hoover. Who did he run against?
Yeah, Herbert Hoover was running against Al Smith then. Actually, so I mean, even back then, it was, we're still seeing that back. But prior to that point, Hoover was more of an owl, and an owl could win. As soon as 1932 came around, now the owl wins in 1928. Another example of now he goes against eagle, parrot, FDR, and he loses the day.
It really is a fascinating analysis, and it really gives you some insights into not just the candidates themselves, but what Americans themselves are looking for as well.
It's true. It's not. It says a lot about the candidates, but it really says a lot about us. That we think we're voting for platform, but yet we're really drawn to personality. And I thought of the book as a cautionary tale. It's not just about who wins. It's that we're choosing them because of their personality. In a way, it's more about the public than it is even about the president.
And you know what? When you get into media characters, why some shows succeed and others don't, why they're effective, it doesn't so much matter about what the media personality is talking about, what their specialty is. Yes, that has its allure, and that might get people to tune into the show, but they keep tuning into the show, not necessarily for the content, but for the character who's communicating the content, right?
Absolutely. And what's interesting is if you look at television shows that have four main characters, every TV show that has had four main characters, going back to All in the Family and Sex and the City to The Simpsons, I mean, you name it, there's always an eagle, a parrot, a dove, and an owl. People tune into that. The American Idol, first season, Ryan on the stage, he's the parrot. You got Randy, he's the owl, and Paula was the dove, and Simon was the eagle. It was a perfect dynamic of all four. And then as soon as they started mucking with that dynamic and swapping people in, they lost the eagle, parrot, dove, owl combination, and the show was never the same again.
Yeah, it's so true.
They lost it.
So true. Hey, so let's look at Shark Tank. Obviously, they have people that come and go, but there is a core there. There's Mark Cuban. There's Mr. Wonderful, who's obviously an eagle there. And, and then you got Robert Herjavec. He's kind of the owl. And
Robert Herjavec's got a lot of dove too, though. I remember a time he looked at Mr. Wonderful and thought it was taking advantage of him, and he said, "Don't mistake my kindness for weakness." And he'll cry sometimes too. Yeah. And I mean, look at Mark Cuban. I mean, he's got that eagle and parrot. You got Lori and Barbara. A lot of parrot energy. Real estate, queen of QVC, big smile. Yeah. And then and then you kind of can see how each of them, their styles play out as they're communicating.
So my theory about reality TV is you always need a villain. It works so much better when you have a villain. I go back to that show Storage Wars, and they had that guy Dave Hester. Really, you just love to hate Dave. And then they got rid of him. They had a falling out, and the show really was not as good. Finally, they had to eat crow and bring him back. And then the show kind of regained its footing. All of these shows, then, hey, Pawn Stars, another one where I could definitely see exactly what you're talking about there.
Oh, yeah. And it's great. And often the villain is the eagle. Yes. It's Simon Cowell on American Idol. It's Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank. You always have that one person who's the eagle style, has it dialed up a little bit too much. Mm-hmm. And I mean, look at Trump's TV show, "You're fired." I mean, that is the ultimate eagle statement. Can you imagine a dove being on a TV show like Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank having to say "you're fired"? It would be like, no, it's not you, it's me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm afraid I've said that one before. So if you want to do a self profile here to figure out which of these four you are, how do you do that?
So you can text personality wins. So that's all one word. Don't put a space in it. Personality wins to 33777. That's a short code. Just text personality wins to 33777, and you can actually take an assessment and see which bird you are.
So cool. Well, I'm going to do that now, and I would urge everybody out there to do it. Get the book. Really, it's so much fun here, what you're talking about, Merrick, and it's a great way of looking at it. And what's really good is it really kind of takes away some of the seriousness and the divisiveness and everything else, because say, hey, he's just doing what an eagle does, or he's doing what a dove does, and that's it, really. So the name of the book is Personality Wins: Who Will Take the White House and How We Know, by Merrick Rosenberg. It's been great having you on. You can get it at Amazon and wherever fine books used to be sold, or go to Merrick's website, merrickrosenberg.com. That's MERRICK, like Long Island, Rosenberg.com, and take the test. Again, tell us how we take the test, Merrick.
Text personality wins as all one word to 33777.
All right. Excellent. Hey, we appreciate you coming on. Any questions or comments from Merrick or myself? Tell me what kind of personality you think you are. I'd love to hear. And you can email us, KL@KerryLutz.com. Twitter feeds at Kerry Lutz. Facebook page, Financial Survival Network. Been a little quiet on there lately. Kind of been tired of it, honestly. But go to our website, join the contest. You can win a half ounce of gold. All you got to do, go over to financialsurvivalnetwork.com/contest and figure out what the price of gold is going to be on September 25th at noontime. And if you get closest or you guess it, you will win a half ounce of gold. Anyway, Merrick, thank you so much for coming on. Been a pleasure, and great luck with the book. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.